Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a top 5 video for the tier 10 tank destroyers and which ones I think, in my opinion, are the best and the worst of the tier 10 tank destroyers and why or why not you should go for them. Now, there's two of them I don't have, and that'd be the Object 263 and the Flash 155, but Megalodon 1951, if he watches this video, he can tell you about the Object 263, and Nebulous Nebulous or Aussie YouTuber, whichever one you know him by. He has a Flash 155 review that he recently put up, and if you want to know about the Flash 155, he has one. And I don't know who has Object 263 review. Probably somebody does, but I know he has the Flash 155 review. But anyways, moving on to the top 5. Now, the top 5, in my opinion, has to be number 5 on the list is the Object 263. Now, the Object 263 is the Soviet Tier 10 tank destroyer. It has really good frontal armor. I'm pulling up the list now to show you guys. It has the best, rate of fire out of any Tier 10 tank destroyer. But I'm going to go over the cons first and the pros and why or why not you might need to buy this or would want to. The cons of this thing, obviously, is open top, and you really need to know what you're doing with it, and if you get hit by Artie, it's over for you. Now, ways you can fix that is to not sit still and be detected by Artie and sit there long enough, because, I mean, you don't really need to camp in this thing. If you really look at it, you just need to, move, do your thing, use your frontal armor to your advantage, and don't get hit by Artie. Only 1900 hit points. Like, tier 9 Arties and tier 10 Arties can one-shot you. The gum mantlet's also a weak point on there. It's flat. I'm not sure how thick it is, but it is flat. And another thing is it has very bad gun depression and traverse left and right. It has very low gold round penetration for a tier 10 tank destroyer at 330 because it's an APCR. And you're shooting it out of essentially an upgraded IS-7 130mm gun. One weakness of it is the stupid ammo racks on the sides of it, and they're easy to hit. Like, I've seen them get ammo rack, and I think it's pretty dumb for people to drive out sideways in this thing and get shot and then complain, oh, you ammo racked me, I got one shot, I hate this thing. You don't. This tank is all about frontal armor. It's 250 millimeters on the front plate. Now we're getting into the pros of this tank. 250 millimeters upper plate and superstructure, which is really good. The gun is really good too, and it's .32 accuracy, like a 2.5 second aim time, which is really good. The mobility is good. As you can see, it's got a 1050 horsepower engine, which moves around 55 miles an hour, or kilometers an hour. My bad. Has the highest rate of fire. If you're missing this, it's not that bad for you because you reload really fast and you can get another shot off. The view range is really good and has a pretty good camera rating according to this website that I'm reading off of. And if you would like to look these up for yourself, it's like the Wargaming, it's wikiwargaming.net, and you can look up things about these tanks on your own if you're curious. Suggested things you might need on this if you're more campy, camouflage net. But you know how I play my tank destroyers front lines most of the time, depending on which one I'm in. So I recommend coated optics, gun lay and drive, and rammer for this tank. That's about what I can give because I really haven't played it. But I have seen people use them, got a pretty good idea. But you can't play the game long enough. I have a pretty good idea. Now I'm gonna leave these up for a second so you can read them. But I'm gonna go over some perk you probably need on it. You need safe stowage. There's another thing too. Always need brothers in arms. There's this other thing that you might need to. I'm not completely sure what it is. Recon. I think it's called recon and situational awareness. You need 6th sense definitely. So if you get detected by a medium tank already right on top of you, that's something I recommend with this too. Now, moving on down to number 4 on the list. Number 4 on the list, it has to be probably the E4. Now, a lot of people don't like this tank because it's not like the other tank destroyers and it doesn't have the armor. But this is not a tank destroyer. As many times I have to tell people, you don't snipe in this tank, you are a heavy tank. They're like, no, it's a tank destroyer. I'm like, no, it's not, it's a heavy tank. And then we just go on our separate ways, and he ends up getting killed because he misses every shot because he sends it to the back of the map with it. Now, anyways, this tank is the mixture between an E3 and an E5. It's their baby, and they made pretty much a fat turd at E5 with an E3's gun. Pretty much what I have to explain. It's about all it is. Now, it has its ups and downs, and it has those games where the gun doesn't hit anything because you're really like hitting the accuracy like bar of good and bad right here, because .37 is not the best, but it's not the worst either, and you have to be patient with this gun because there's a pretty bad aim time of 2.9 seconds, and the dispersion on this thing, like moving around, makes it probably worse, I think. But the aim time is bad anyways, but the rate of fire is decent for a tank destroyer with a turret. But then again, you have so much pin, you don't really have to worry about it. It plays like a heavy tank, not like a first line heavy tank, but more or less a second line heavy tank. But support your teammates when you need to, because you have the alpha damage to back people up. The pin is good, so in front of the E100's turret, stuff like that, you get it. And the APCR is 375 pin. So there you go, you get pretty much the best pin tank destroyer gun in the game. Or not gun, tank destroyer gun, but heavy tank gun in the game. And you get the bad part that I think about this tank is the turret cheeks and the lower plate. The side armor is 76 millimeters and the rear armor is 38, but that's American tanks. Don't want anybody getting behind them. They're all about frontal. You need to keep that. Turret rings exposed, and the tower is stupid on the top. It's pretty easy to hit, and that's a machine gun port on the top, but the cheeks of the turret's pretty weak down towards the bottom where it's like less sloped. I guess that you would say less like sloped from if you're directly in front of it. That's only 203 millimeters thick. The frontal armor is 254, but gets thinner as you go down. But if you wiggle back and forth, people hit the gun mantlet or the seat cheeks of the turret and bounce off. So yeah, there you go. There's number 4. Now we're going to go on to number 3, which is the Death Star. Now the Death Star is just an insane tank on its own. If you want to see a more in-depth review about this tank, or the E4, I have them. Just look them up. Now, this tank is crazy of how much damage it can do. You get 12 shots. Mine's loaded up with all premium rounds. You're like, oh, you shoot premium rounds, but look at the pin and tell me why wouldn't you shoot them? Because really, I'm putting myself at a disadvantage here, guys. I only have 275 pin. Then you guys are running around with these tank destroyers like 299 pin, 300 pin, 295. I'm just sitting down here 275, guys. But then you look at my alpha damage and you're like, oh, that's why you shoot them, because I have 700 or 1750 alpha damage. You're running around with like 850 or 1050. Yeah, but this tank has its downs, and it is pretty bad. 3.4 aim time, 0.40 accuracy, and 2 rounds a minute. You get a rammer, gunland drive, and vents always. Get that aim time down and get that rate of fire up. Just be patient. You'll hit your target every time. Mostly, if you don't pin, you still do damage. If you pin, you might one-shot any tier 8, or you'll one-shot most tier 8s, but you will kill or seriously mess up any tier 9 and tier 10 tank if you hit them with this. Traverse speed is pretty good, and the turret, I think it only goes 45 degrees left and right. I'm pretty sure it's only 45. I'm not exactly sure, but it don't turn 90 degrees or all the way around. If it did, I would be crazy. Armor is bad on this tank, but this is one of the tanks you kind of hang back in. You don't need to push up too far because you only have 200 or 2,000 hit points, which is enough, but I mean, it's not like people are actually aiming for you, they don't last very long, trust me. Lower plate's weak, side armor is only 51 millimeters thick, the side turret armor is only 101, the back 76. Frontal turret armor is good at 254, and the upper plate's 152, which is pretty hard to pin, and the turret armor is pretty hard to pin, but you get the idea with this tank. You just need to stay out from in front of that gun. And I had to give number 2 to the E3. Now, I mean, a lot of people hate the E3 because it's probably overpowered, but I don't think any tank is really overpowered. I really don't like Artie, but I still don't think it's overpowered. I just think I don't like Artie. But if you look at the gun on this, it is the E4's gun, and it shoots faster with better aim time, better accuracy. Not that much better accuracy, but better is better. And you gotta take what you can get with turret tank destroyers over hull lock, or not hull lock, but front facing tank destroyers like this one. You get a better rate of fire out of this at 3.5. Aim time is 2.5, and the accuracy is 0.36, about the same as a Patton pretty much. But the accuracy on the Patton's obviously gonna be better than this thing. But dispersion wise and aim time, I'm pretty sure is way better. Aim time on the Patton's like 2 seconds. I just know the accuracy is about comparable to the Patton, but Patton's a medium tank. And this is tank destroyer. Anyways, the penetration is 295, 375, all that's the same. Hull armor is 305 millimeters thick. That's what makes this thing. The gun mantlet is pretty much impenetrable from everything, and the lower plate is hard as hell to shoot through. But not completely, because it's about midways down. It's 305 millimeters thick, but lower than that, it gets easy. But if this thing is doing what it needs to do, it is hard. Like I said, it is really hard to pin this tank from the front if it's hull down. But if you can see the lower plate about all the way down, it's really easy to pin. And on the corners, it's only 152 millimeters thick. I'm pretty sure. Don't hate me if I'm wrong. I thought this whole time that it only had 254, but I found out it's 305. And side armor is 76, rear armor is 38. Like any American tank, don't let them see your sides and don't let them get behind you. Artie is the worst nightmare for this tank, because Artie will aim for this thing, because really that's the only threat this tank has in the game from the front. You can beat your enemies into submission with your 850 alpha while you laugh maniacally at them bouncing off your front. Now, kind of my honorable mentions before I get on to the number 1 tank destroyer in the game. You have the Object 268, and it's really good. It's just they nerfed the premium round on it and moved it down to 395, and it just isn't the same. 450 was just crazy. You didn't need to shoot them, but I mean, you're talking to somebody that shoots AT2s with the Death Star and thinks it's funny. Because the aim time on this was 2.7, which is kind of bad, but the accuracy was good, and the pin is amazing, and the aim time rate of fire is good, and the traverse speed and the speed. It's just, this thing was about speed and camera rating. And then you get to the Foch 155, which has its moments. I don't really care for that tank at all. I've been told it's pretty good, but I've only got to like tier 7 or 8 or something like that on the line, and I gave up because those tanks leading up to it I hate with a passion. But I've been told that the tier 10 is worth getting, but I know enough about it to know that the gun handling is not that good, because the accuracy is show you right here. Well, I can't show you, but I can pull up things about this tank real quick. The aim time on it is 3 seconds. The accuracy is 0.36, but when you shoot this thing, the circle blooms up so much you have to wait so long, and you have 5 seconds between each shell. A Waffle can clip this thing easily, and it's just, the gun handling on this is not the best. But if you can get every shot pinned and everything in, this tank has the potential to do some serious damage. I'm not putting this tank down, it's just my opinion about it. The pin on it 293 with AP, 395 with the premium round, which I believe is heat, and the alpha damage is 850 because it's a 155. The traverse speed and speed on this thing is pretty good because it gets 1,000 horsepower, and the frontal turn armor is pretty troll because it's sloped the way it is. But the weaknesses on the top is what gets me about this thing, because it has this humongous bar on the top. But some cons about this tank: it gets a very long reload time. I'm not sure how long, but I know it's really long. It has the lowest hit points at 1850. The mobility, is I'm reading off this website, and I know the Foch is 5. I know the Foch Tier 9 is fast, and I know this one's fast, but apparently has worse than the Tier 9. It doesn't aim very far left and right, and it has no other armors in the front pretty much. But the camo value is really good according to the website. The burst damage, like I said, it can do some serious damage, and that's about it for this. And then we're gonna move on to the number one tank, in my opinion, for tank destroyer, and it has to be the original Death Star, the Jagdpanzer E100. It is my favorite tank destroyer in the game. It's big, scary, slow, has a humongous gun. You don't want to get in front of it. It's kind of a troll gun though, because you'll throw some shots all over the place. But it has 3.4 accuracy, which is good. It has a little bit over 2.2 in the third rounds a minute, but you get some rammers on that, vents. Definitely put gun lane drive on it, and you'll do just fine. 299 pin. You get through about anything in the game that you want to get through, and if you don't, 420 pin. Let's go. Let's get through it. 1050 alpha damage. You can one-shot tier 8 tank destroyers and seriously maim any other ones. Mess up tier 9s, mess up tier 10s with one shot. The aim time's kind of low. Gun lane drive. Some perks like you get 6 cents always. You get Brothers in Arms, Camo Net, all this other fancy stuff that you put on tank destroyer. Go up front. Don't be afraid to hide. Don't be afraid to push in this tank. This name alone will scare people. Because they see E100 and they see Jagdpanzer in front of it. It sounds scary. It is scary. Don't get hit by it, like I've said. The superstructure is 250 millimeters thick, with the gun mantlet's even thicker than that. The thing says 200 millimeters, but I looked and I think it's the whole armor off the E100 that's picking it's picking the choose. I don't know why. But on the Jag Tiger it says 250, but that's the superstructure, and the whole armor is only 150 on that. But you get it. The gun is a 170 millimeter gun. Weak things about this tank: the camo rating is terrible. The engine deck, if it gets hit by arty, is going to catch you on fire about every time, and the lower plate is the weak point. Siren armor is good. The gun mantlet is pretty thick. The only thing you got to worry about is getting shot by premium rounds through the superstructure on the outer sides, not the inner sides around the gun mantlet. But I've done a review on this tank. If you want to see more about it, please watch it and get you a pretty good idea of why I think this tank is my favorite tank destroyer in the game. I may or may not have said in that video whether it was or not, but people have played with me. I have my up and downs with this tank, but it always goes back to being my favorite because it's the first tier 10 I ever got. And off of my opinion, it is probably my favorite one because it's never going to really let you down if you know what you're doing in it. It's never going to all of a sudden get pinned by everything because it has really reliable armor against most tanks unless you're shooting premium, which I'm saying if everybody's not shooting premium, doing what they're people are normally doing in the game, this is my go-to tank if I want to play a tank destroyer. Now, like I said, don't be mad if your favorite tank destroyer isn't on the list where it needs to be, or you don't particularly care for. The Object 268 was becoming my favorite, but I recently been playing this thing more, and I remembered why it was my favorite. But anyways, guys, this is the end of this video. Just leave a like, comment, tell me what you think about this list. Tell me if I need to do, I don't know, heavy tanks or something like that. I don't have all the heavy tanks, I don't have all the medium tanks, don't have all the arty, but you give me a good idea. I can do anything, any tier. I've played a lot of tanks in this game. I've played like a good amount of every nation to know what is what. Um, Anyways, just give me a good idea of what you want to see. Tier 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, stuff like that. I'm pretty good. Give you a good idea of my list of what they should be. This is just the top 5 list of tank destroyers. Somebody mentioned it. I think it was Destroyer said I should do it. And yeah. Anyways, these are my top 5 tanks, tank destroyers, and I will see you guys later.